Sketchy Stories. Hello everyone and welcome back to Sketchy Stories. Today we're actually reaching episode 5. So for those of you who have been watching since episode 1, I appreciate it. It means a lot more to me than I can ever express. And if you're just tuning in now, go ahead and hit that like button, helps me know that there's new people watching that are enjoying it as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into this. Shadow people. The shadow people are a mysterious and recurring figure in folklore, paranormal stories, and cryptid research. They have also entered the public imagination and are frequently employed in popular cultures across many medias. The general idea of the shadow people concerns their malevolent, ghost-like presence that is often felt or seen at the corner of one's eye or just over someone's shoulder, appearing as a large and terrifying shadow or small, amorphous blob creature that sits in a corner. These creatures may stalk a victim or stay hiding, but they almost always surround each and every visit with an aura that causes the victims to become extremely paranoid, scared, delirious, anxious, and all of that to the point of even paralyzation. Shadow people have existed in all cultures since prehistoric times. Many ghosts and demons in folklore share striking similarities to the shadow people, being tall, vaguely humanoid, shadowy, giving off horrible demonic presence to any unfortunate soul that stays in their path. Often these creatures are seen as harbingers for great destruction, such as death of those who encounter them, massive injury to loved ones, or even in some cases the arrival of a natural disaster such as a flood or earthquake or tornado. Shadow people are recognized as a common hallucination in the doctor field. When people suffer from sleep paralysis or massive spouts of depression and anxiety and schizophrenia, specifically with the sleep paralysis realm, blamed on many nocturnal spirits, such as succubuses, night hags, goblins, those kind of things. It was originally caused by lack of sleep and, just not having a proper set sleep schedule and all that. They cause the body to become paralyzed sometimes to a point that the brain removes the ability to be physically active, which is very terrifying, obviously, if you just wake up and you're paralyzed and you're unable to move. It's pretty heart-wrenching. It gets hard to breathe. You literally feel like this massive amount of impending doom. Just my personal experience, I guess, with it. I've had it happen a few times where I've woken up. I've definitely seen figures standing over me and stuff in my sleep when I've woken up and stuff, but it's pretty horrifying. Obviously, it can cause hallucinations because your mind is sitting there overthinking because you're like, why can't I move? So your brain fills in the blanks, makes up a person or a creature or a thing that's doing something to you, but really it's just your brain's not awake yet. I don't know how, I didn't go that deep into my research, but yeah. In the fields of paranormal study, the shadow people are often discussed in wide length and variety of theories, ranging from spirits of the dead, echoes of past or future events. So the only way I can describe this is literally there's an Adventure Time episode on this where they're in an apartment and something flies off the shelf and they haven't been in there in like 10 years, but then it like gives a flashback of when they were in there 10 years ago and they're looking for something specific. So they're literally like trashing the place, like throwing stuff around, and like they were just seeing, shadows of themselves and other people that were in this place at a different timeline. And obviously, like our construction of time is linear, but in reality, time is constant and not moving at the same time, if that makes sense. It's all happening at once, but not happening. So, echoes of the past or future events, parallel dimensions, which is pretty similar, obviously, but it's like, yeah, we're not going to get into that. And I have no way of describing it. Demonic presences, entities, or psychic vampires, like, there is people that truly believe they feed on energy and they don't need to actually absorb any nutrients and all that kind of stuff. And again, we're not going to get into it, but yeah, just with that realm of that, ghosts, spirits, shadow people, goblins, the boogeyman, Slender Man, the Hat Man is what people specifically say they see when they close their eyes, fall asleep, and wake up with sleep paralysis and cannot move. They often will report of seeing the exact same man, wearing a top hat, a long coat, rather tall, like creepily tall, has to bend his head down sideways because it's too tall for a normal ceiling of whatever the normal height is, like, 9-10 feet, whatever normal ceiling height is. And yeah, one thing I do know for sure, if you do ever have sleep paralysis, what has worked for me is if I'm stuck in that moment and once I come out of the panic of it after like a second or two, just curling my toes. And once I do that, it allows me to realize that I'm I'm able to move and I can move everything else, and then it goes from there. So anyways, let's jump in. Let's jump into our first story. It's 2 nights later. As I'm typing to you, I finally expressed to my girlfriend what I experienced. She said she noticed a change in the environmental feel of our house as well. Her being somebody that's well diverse in the spiritual realm, she gave me a few crystals and said it would ward off any negative energy or bad intentions. We had to have the discussion outside of the house as well. She didn't want to talk about it in home because she feared that if we brought up the conversation at all, it would trigger whatever was there to listen and become more angry and know that we know. She said to not acknowledge it. She understands what I've been going through, so we went to our favorite spot, a little donut shop in our town. We sat and had coffee and talked about our plans to resolve the issue at home. After saging the house with cleansing energy, crystals, sage, and her casting some sort of witchy spell, we decided that the environment felt at peace. And it really did work well. Everything seemed as though it was fine. We had dinner, went to bed. I showered and went to bed about an hour after she had fallen asleep. You see, I work late nights sometimes on my side business, as you're listening to right now with Sketchy Stories. But as I typed to you with this, I noticed that it seemed as though all the tapestries on the wall, except for one, were standing still. One, just in the center of the room, was swaying gently in and out, towards and away from the wall, moving enough as though there was a fan or some sort of breeze causing it to sway. I checked the room, there was no cats in here. We had no fans on, the heat was not on, the air was not on. There was no draft, the door was closed, there was no cause for this. For if it was any sort of wind, the tapestry directly to the left and to the right would both be moving as well. Sitting back down at my desk, continuing my work, it then began to swing higher, as if it knew it had my attention already. With my eyes in the darkness facing the direction of the closet, I heard a distinctive sound of the doorknob rattling, and the handle of my bedroom door turning downwards as if someone was going to open the door now. One thing you need to know about my door, it's kind of ghetto. When you turned on the handle from the inside, the other side would stay in its same position. The door would still open and unlock. Vice versa, when you grab the handle from the outside and pulled it down to open the door, the interior handle would stay still. That being said, if the door was being opened, it was from the inside. After the doorknob jiggling, that was the only instance that we had that night. There's nothing else that actually occurred for the rest of the week either. Nothing that disturbed me in the pretense of feeling like there was a negative energy at all. But exactly 2 weeks after I came home from the gravesite where we filmed the video, I was going over some of the footage in the editing process when I noticed that one of the tombstones that I had just so happened to be laying on in the shoot coincidentally read my last name on it. And with no first name, it made it a little bit more eerie. Having thought this was just a genius ploy behind one of the directors of the video, I called him to let him know that this was a good move. It was 11 p.m. when I called. He picked up and we talked about a few other scenes in the video and some things he had edited as well. And that's when I brought up this scene where I had been laying on top of the tombstone that coincidentally read my last name. Now I have a fairly common last name, but the fact that it was just there and we didn't notice is what got me all chilled, full of goosebumps. You see, when I was talking with him, he told me that he didn't do it. And I know that the other director wasn't even on this scene. To be honest, this director had no idea about this. Thought I was bullshitting him. So I sent him over the chunk of the clip where I happened to be laying on top of this tombstone that had my last name on it. During this time frame, it was 11 p.m. Now you see, I take this second job as a serious side occupation, separate from my full-time job. My girlfriend is sleeping right now, so I'm trying to be respectful of her and be quiet as I'm in the other room. But I just hear a loud noise. I don't know where it came from, but it was definitely in the bedroom next door. Thinking that perhaps one of the cats had gotten stuck in the room and knocked something over like a lamp or a candle, I rushed in a panic. Maybe someone broke in. Springing up, I ran over to the door and flipped on the light switch. The lights on. I could see the doors to the closet were slammed open, but there was nothing askew, nothing on the floor, nothing broken. And worse yet, there was my girlfriend, sitting straight up in bed, looking pissed as hell. She said, "Why are you flipping the lights on and slamming stuff around? It's fucking late. I'm trying to sleep. Go to bed." And with that, she slammed back down onto her pillow and went back to sleep. Alright, so it looks like there's actually for sure gonna be a part 3 to the Shadow People stories. And yeah, if you made it this far into it, you should definitely check out the other videos if you haven't. Go ahead and give a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Throw a comment down below because we're always looking for some suggestions. And as always, I'm going to put the email up on the screen if you have a story you want to submit or any artwork. You can email it to me directly, and I'll feature it up on one of the next videos. But yeah, thanks for watching.